Thank you. I may be short in stature, but I hope I can rise above. All right. Good evening, my friends, my neighbors. 各位朋友，各位邻居，晚上好。Man, it feels good to be here among my fellow Pongolas. I live not too far from here, but I didn't grow up here, so I don't know if you think I qualify to be a son of Pongol or not. But on a more serious note, last week, I stood before you as a stranger. Tonight, I hope you see me as someone who understands your concerns, shares your hopes, and is ready to fight for our community. I spent many hours walking the ground for the past 2 years. 我看到了你们的困难，也感受到了你们的期望。And what I've heard is clear. 全部东西太贵了。Everything is so expensive now. This sentiment echoes in almost every conversation at the kopitiam, at the hawker center, from retirees to working adults to young families alike. We all feel the same way. Let's be frank. Singapore is becoming unaffordable for everyday, ordinary people. 现在的新加坡，物价越来越高，日子越来越难过，新加坡人的生活负担越来越重。买菜、电费、水费、大巴士、大地铁、看医生，这些基本的生活开销都在上涨。But you know what frustrates me the most? It's when I hear the ministries tell us that, oh, actually, inflation rate is falling. That's what they said in February this year, but the reality is different. You and me on the ground, when we go to the supermarket, do we see our prices falling? I didn't think so. And a retiree, they cut back on the simple joys that they used to take for granted. 我们辛苦了一辈子的长辈，退休后，他们是否可以享受一个舒服的生活呢？ This isn't just about statistics. This is about dignity. It's about whether Singaporeans are able to afford a decent standard of living in our own land. The Workers' Party has consistently opposed the GST hike. You know, we're not against taxes, but because GST hits lower and middle income households the hardest. That 2% increase might seem trivial to those in ivory towers, but for many it's the difference between comfort and anxiety. We propose exempting essential items from GST. Basic food items, utilities, medicines, textbooks and school supplies. We want tiered pricing for utilities. Lower consumption means lower rates. This benefits smaller households, our seniors and pioneers, and those who conserve resources and look after our green earth. Why should ordinary families have to bear the same rates as those who live in GCBs and black and whites, with wine cellars, lifts at home, and multiple aircons running 24/7? 这公平吗？这合理吗？ Housing remains the biggest expense for most Singaporeans. The financial burden is there for the youngest, and if they don't have a stable roof over their heads, how can they even begin of thinking of starting a family? Wait times of 4 to 5 years for BTO flats? When did this become the norm? When did this become acceptable? In 1989, the wait time was just 2 to 3 years. The government has finally admitted there is a problem. But what is their solution? Recalibrating. That's a new one for you. To have more flats with wait times under 3 years. Under 3 years? That is their optimistic goal. Shouldn't that be the ceiling, the maximum, not a goal to aspire to? The Workers' Party will continue to push the government to bring BTO wait times back to what they were before. Not eventually, not gradually, but now. We also believe that 28-year-old singles should be allowed to apply for BTO flats. Not just those aged 35 and above. It's not just for singles, you know. Single mothers are considered singles too. They have a family. Why shouldn't they be able to provide a roof for their children? Our times have changed. Policies should change too. Let me tell you about a former schoolmate of mine. She's 34 years old this year, just like me. She earns a good salary. She's single. She wants independence. But if she wants a BTO, by the time she has a roof over her head, she'll be pushing 40. Is this the Singapore we want? Where hardworking adults don't have the dignity of their own space until they are 40 years old? 这是我们要的新加坡吗? These are not just isolated policy proposals. They represent a fundamentally different vision of Singapore. A fresh perspective, new ideas. The PAP believes in trickle-down prosperity. Keep the economy growing and everyone eventually benefits. But that's not happening anymore, is it? Our GDP grows, but many Singaporeans feel like they've been left behind. We, the Workers' Party, we believe in an economy that works for everyone, where prosperity is measured not just by GDP, but by whether ordinary people can afford to live well. And this is why the Workers' Party is proposing a national minimum wage. $1,600. A simple number, a universal baseline that says, if you work full-time, you deserve a living wage. But I stand before you tonight with not just words, but with a commitment to work. If elected, I will push relentlessly for these policies in Parliament. I will be your voice when decisions affecting your livelihoods and futures are made. I have no doubt my opponent is a good man. I have nothing against him personally, but what he represents is a party that has allowed these issues to fester. A party that raised GST twice during a cost of living crisis. A party that monitors while housing prices spiral beyond our reach. My friends, on the 3rd of May, you have a choice. You can vote for more of the same, or you can vote for representatives who will fight for a more affordable Singapore. For a Singapore that truly supports families, for a Singapore that truly cares about its people. 我们会为你们争取更公平的政策，让每个家庭过更舒服的生活。我是刘宇阳，我是惹兰加油的候选人。I'm Andre Lau, your Workers' Party candidate for Jalan Kayu SMC. Now, I want to end with this call to action. Over the past week, a string of PAP prime ministers, past and present, have lined up to ask Singaporeans for a strong mandate. I say, we send them a strong message. Vote for change, vote for hope, vote for the Workers' Party. Thank you and good night. 谢谢大家，晚安。